Alright, so this is a work in progress. This is my live setup. This is what I use for both performing with tapes, improvising, and also playing with acoustic improvisers. I have this instrument interface over here that I can take in a mic and process what people are playing, but also I can pass the tape through the same signal chain. So I'm going to talk through my signal chain and sort of show examples and then do a little improvising. I am really curious for everybody's thoughts on other modules I should try, other ways of routing, more efficient ways of using some of these things. Any of those sorts of ideas, please hit me in the comments. And to start, since this is going to be one of the first things I talk about, I really want to replace this loop man. It's not doing a great job at holding pitch these days, and I'd love to get a different module that has a tape machine on it. Okay, but my signal chain starts with the tape and the live input, but we're just going to think about tape today. I've got a tape loop loaded up, simple little piano thing. And the first place it goes is the PE1, which I mostly use for the live input, but for a little EQ. But then, more importantly, it goes into the 100 grit, which I mostly just use as a filter to control some of that high-end noise. Or high-frequency noise, I mean. A lot of times it sits right about there. Okay, and then that passes into the, what's it called? The Crush Delay V3. I love this module. I use it mostly as a tone shaper, but it's obviously a delay module, but I basically just use it for all the ways you can get interesting noise, interesting textures out of it, and then also can kind of glitch out your signal. I use it as kind of an improvising device. Sometimes I even go down here and just play around with the pings and whatnot. But a lot of times I'll have it sitting somewhere like there. So I'm getting a little bit of that noise that it brings in, but you're still essentially hearing the signal as expected. Obviously it delays from here, passing out of that. I don't mind it, but it is something, I have to consider. Okay, and then that passes into a mult. It's a powered mult, or it's a buffered mult, which then fans out the signal to a bunch of things over here. And there. So then I have the crush delay coming through right here on this mixer. This is a Nano Modules mixer. I love this thing. Sounds really nice and can do some interesting automation stuff. Next up, on channel 2, the signal is passing through Dradd over here, which is an interesting sort of glitchy, downsampled, I don't know what to call it. It does a bunch of stuff. I have it on its tape setting, and I basically only use it to have this sort of ugly, downsampled version of whatever's playing here, with the possibility, if I move that up, of kind of hopping up octaves randomly. I really like the tone. I also like the fact that I can control the clock speed. This is one thing I'd probably like to have some modulation control over eventually. And then also it can do some nice warble if you want it. But anyway, I generally leave it right around there. Alright, next up, I have the signal passing through the MFX here with a nearly infinite reverb, so that I can just have this smear of everything that's currently happening to bring in. Usually I bring it pretty low in the mix, but I do sometimes kind of submerge everything below it, like that, or it can be nice to only have something that's repitched with it. And then I can bring it down. And now we're hearing just the Dradd and the original signal. Next up, and this is kind of a recent addition, I have things passing through via this Listen I/O, the Mood 2. So I end up with this nice stereo spread, sort of semi-looped. It's not actually looped, it's being used as like a live processor. But I can repitch, downsample, And I love to use the reverb on this also. Alright, two more. I also have the signal passing through Magneto. And another recent addition, I have pitch control of the Magneto via the Joyrec up here, which is really fun. I have it quantized via scales. You can probably see that moving around. It goes an octave in either direction. And then I also have some volume control on the left side, so I can silence it. And I can kind of make some melodies out of it. This is a new addition. I haven't tried this live yet, so we'll see if this changes after it's actually been used. But I think it'll be fun. And it works a lot better. Right now this is just a live input. But if I loop, then it will actually stay at the pitch that I set it. And the Joyrec can record what you do. So now it's looping what I just played. Okay, and finally we have beads, one of my favorite modules. Why am I not hearing you? There we go. Okay, so this is a granular module. You might already have heard of it. It's incredible. And I have this, the 7J, I guess it's called, controlling density and length of the grains. So let's see now. Up, I kind of have to think through this. I just set this up. Up and down are length of grain. So short up here, long down here, and density is low on the left and high on the right. So say I want short and dense. There it is. Short, but not happening very often. Long, but not very many grains. Long and a whole lot of grains, which kind of start to be all on top of each other. And so by reaching in here, I probably need to get some better control on this. By reaching in here, I can affect the pitch. I can also affect where on the sort of buffer the start times are. Okay, and one more thing. So basically I have the output passing out through this output here. This is the final part of the signal chain. This is the last thing it all goes through. And the way I like to use it is for kind of two specific effects. I do use a little bit of what it calls squash at the end, which kind of is a little bit of a compressor. And I use sweeten also, which does a tiny bit of EQ, and I think maybe a little saturation also. But really what I like it for are these two. I have both of these going down an octave. This is, what's it called? Pitch. And it's just a granular repitcher. And it sounds great, especially when I have a lot of stuff happening. Like that's 100% through the repitcher. That's what's actually playing. Yeah, that just sounds great. And then secondly, I have this, which is a reverse effect, also down an octave, which is what this, you can control there. So basically I have two ways to go down an octave, and therefore I can go down 2 octaves if I want to, which in this particular setting doesn't make a ton of sense, but sometimes it can be really nice. Okay, so that's pretty much everything, but that's kind of a lot actually. That's sort of 2 granular options, a couple of looping options, the long reverb, and like a decent amount of control over all those things. And I'm learning how to use this more and more as an instrument. But obviously there's more space for other things to come in. Maybe there are ways to make my sort of the tactile aspect of it work a little better, especially with the beads. It's really hard to sort of, get my hand through all these cables and actually like make use of the full options with the beads. But that's basically the setup. I'm going to do some playing now, and I would love to hear in the comments your thoughts, questions, ways I should change this, other things I should try. Here we go. Alright, thanks for checking out the video. More to come on this. I'm going to keep working on it. I'll see you next time.